Hi everyone, it's Kathy Zilski welcoming you to the Scrapbooking Cards Today YouTube channel. And today I'm excited to share a project as part of a new series that I will be bringing every month to the channel called Clean and Simple with Kathy Zilski. This month we're going to focus on adding simple color to detailed images. So let's jump in and take a look at the products I'll be using today. The stamps are from Honeybee Stamps, and the set is called Fluttering By. This features a host of butterflies and super sweet sentiments. I'm also going to be doing some embossing using some Gina K Designs ink and a little bit of white powder from Brutus Monroe. I've got some Lawn Fawn ink. This is in Sunflower, and a blender brush to add a little bit of color to my card project. I'm going to be using these Artesia Real Brush Watercolor markers to add color to my butterflies, and I'll be using the Artesia water pen. This came with my set of 48 markers, but I'm only using a few colors today. I also have the coordinating dies for this stamp set, which is really cool for cutting out your beautifully colored images. I've got a little palette here that I'll be mixing some color on, and my Misty tool. I will definitely be stamping with this. It helps me get great images. And the paper today I will be using is Bristol Smooth because it works really well with the watercolor markers and gets the ink moving. So I'll be cutting some of that down. I've got my stamps placed on top of a piece of the Bristol, and I'm going to pick it up with the door, and then I'm going to take my Embossing Magic powder bag. This just lays down a very thin layer of powder to remove all the static from your paper or any oil, so that when you stamp with your embossing ink and then you add your powder, the powder only sticks to the sticky ink and not to other areas that are either staticky or sticky. So I like to use this little cloth. I keep a Swiffer cloth that I use to clean up, but it also is nice for adding even pressure on my images. And then before I put my images away, I like to wipe the ink off as much as I can with my little stamp chamois. I'll shake my powder on and just get a nice coating on there, tap it off, and then you can see there are my white images. I'll get my heat tool nice and hot, and as soon as it's warmed up, I'll bring it right to the paper and quickly work my way around, melting all of the stamped images until that powder is smooth and shiny. Looks great. I've got all my supplies set up here. I've got a little paper towel just to blot off some excess water. But I want to show you some samples that I colored that I did not like. I am not great with detailed images. I was trying to create a rainbow effect. It started to look like a hot mess, and then I thought, Kathy, you don't need to make it this hard. Let's go simple. So here's a simple approach. I'm going to scribble on the colors that I'm using, and it's very limited palette. I'm just working in Roy G. Biv, so red, which is pink, orange, and yellow. I'm going to pick up some of that first color, the lighter color here, with the water brush. And I'm just going to start painting over the image. Really, really simple. Now the cool thing is, where you've stamped and embossed that powder, it is white and slick, and so the ink will resist over the image. So the more color you add, the image begins to appear. Therein lies the term emboss resist. And I love that. I just think it's an easier way to add fun color to a detailed image. Because for me, I'm not great with markers, but I can do this, and I really do think the results turn out great. Once you get your color down, then you can go back over it, pump up areas a little bit more so they're a little bolder. And the other thing is too, every time your water pen hits the ink, it sort of reactivates the ink, so you can start going over it and trying to blend the transition areas from color to color a little bit better. And that's why it's nice to work in rainbow order, because where you get that blend, it is a natural progression into the next color group. So I'm just pumping up the color, just like that. I went ahead and did the other three images, and there you go. But I'm going to set those aside to dry. While that's drying, I'm going to work on my sentiment. I've got a little piece of Dusty Rose cardstock. This is from Gina K Designs, and I'm just using the You Give Me Butterflies sentiment, sprinkling on the powder, tapping off the excess, and again I did use my Embossing Magic on this cardstock as well, just to make sure that the powder sticks where it was supposed to, And now it's heat set, and I'll use the coordinating die held in place with just a little bit of purple tape. Just like that, a die cut sentiment. Now that the butterflies are dry, I'm also holding those down with a bit of purple tape. I have the coordinating dies all lined up, and I'll just go ahead and run that through my die cut machine. I think those look fantastic, and they are ready for my card project. I'm going to take some of this ink from Lawn Fawn. I'm going to load up my brush, tap a little of the excess off because I don't want to come in really heavy, and just start blending in the center. I want to have a really soft, light, circular blend that is darker in the center and fades as it gets to the edges of the cardstock. I'm not going all the way to the edges because I am going to cut this down a bit. But these brushes let you have a really light hand, and it's really nice for applying this light, soft look. Next, I'll cut a panel using a die so that my panel will be a little smaller than a card base. And for my card base, I'm going to be taking this piece of cardstock. This is Neenah Solar White, 110 pound, and I'm going to score it at 4 1/4 and go ahead and press this down. I'm using my Teflon bone folder because the Teflon bone folder does not leave a sheen on your cardstock. And next I will tape the card base closed because I like to have my cards flat and not pop open while I'm trying to line things up on them. So I've got kind of an idea of what I want to do. And I'm going to take, I have a couple different widths or depths, if you will, of foam tape. And this foam tape from Thermoweb and Gina K is a little bit thicker than my thinnest foam tape. Sometimes you have to have the right loft. So I'm going to use this to just add a little dimension to the sentiment, "You give me butterflies." I'm not going to pop up the butterflies themselves, however. I'm going to just use some dot runner and adhere them right to the base. And yes, I do want them to hang off the edge because I'm going to trim off the excess. So I'm just taking a little dot runner, pressing them down in place to all three. There we go. And the last one there. Next, I just need to trim off the excess. So I'll take my guillotine paper trimmer. This thing works great for something like this. And I'll line up the first one, hold my fingers right there. Don't worry, I will move them out of the way. But I need to get the paper right to the edge. Then I will hold down both of the cutting guards and cut. And then once I get one side off, I can just push the cardstock all the way up to the top and cut. But very quickly, I'm going to get all three of the excess off, and now it looks like they are bleeding right to the edge. I'm going to pop this panel up with some foam tape so that has a little pop over the white card base. I really like that framing margin space around the panel. I'll bring in my clear T-square because it really does help me to line things up straight, and there is the "You Give Me Butterflies," centered right over that soft yellow blend. I think that looks cute. To finish off the card, I'm going to add just a few sequins, and I've got my liquid glue. This is Connect glue from Gina K, and I'll just work my way around with tweezers and my craft pick to quickly pick them up and place them down. And once they're all adhered, that is the finished card project. I really like this approach to adding color to detailed images, and I hope it inspires you to look at some of your detailed stamps that you may have in your collection and give this technique a try. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you back here next month with another clean and simple project.